All right, hello everyone here in this Zoom chat with us and watching from home. Welcome to Mitchellverse Trivia Championship round. Tonight we have, or afternoon depending, or wee small hours in the morning depending where you are in the world. We have 9 hardcore Mitchell heads. My name is Joanna Robinson. I'm from Vanity Fair. I am your host. We're going to be running through some diabolically difficult Mitchellverse trivia, which I am really excited to see how well everyone does. I'm sure they're going to do really well because I've seen some of their previous rounds and they know their stuff. So I'm really excited for us to spend a night in the Mitchell world, and no pressure at all, obviously, but joining us for this round of Mitchellverse trivia is David Mitchell himself. And hi, David. Do you want to unmute yourself and say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part in this diabolical joy, we hope. And thank you very much to Joanna for consenting to be the quiz master of the night, or evening, or wee small hours,
depending on where you are. David has some delicious tea going. I have some very boring California ice water, but this is, it's trivia. So if you're in a pub trivia mood and you have an adult beverage of choice in hand, that is on theme. That is what we are here for. We might even have a Potent Potables round of this trivia game. So we're really excited. We're going to go over the rules. We're going to tell you all watching at home what's going on. So let us start by introducing our contestants. I want to start in no particular order. This is just randomly the way the names are written down in front of me. Let us start with Jen. Jen Lane, are you here? Do you want to say hi?
Yes. Hi. Do I keep the video off?
No, you can turn your video on.
Hi.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hey, Jen.
Are you a Jen or a Jennifer?
Jen.
Jen. Jen, can you tell us where you're from, and also like if you have a favorite David Mitchell book or the moment you knew that you loved the Mitchellverse?
I'm from the Massachusetts area. I went with Brookline Booksmith, the awesome book store. And I do not want to pick a favorite. I like them all. I will say probably Cloud Atlas was the book that I was in graduate school when I read it, and for psychology, and I had not been reading in years because I was too busy and stressed, and that was the book that brought me back to reading. So I probably,
thank you, Jen.
Yeah, so I love that one, but I like them all, so I'm not going to pick a favorite.
Excellent. Well, good luck, Jen. Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
Good luck. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
How about Olivia? Olivia, are you here in the chat with us?
Sure. Hi. I am in Brooklyn. I played the first round with Greenlight Bookstore. I think like a lot of people probably Cloud Atlas was my first into the Mitchellverse, but then I think that my flashpoint came next reading Black Swan Green and being like, this is the same guy. And then it was all over from there.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, Olivia. Good luck to you. Bryant, are you here in the chat?
Hey.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah, so I think probably like most people here, my first David Mitchell book was Cloud Atlas, but Slade House probably holds the biggest part of my heart because I actually got to meet, me and my wife got to meet David Mitchell on our wedding day at a book signing for Slade House. So that's the special one for me.
Hey, it was a special occasion for me too. Really nice to see you here, Brian.
And where are you playing from, Brian?
I'm in Dublin, Ohio right now, but we met in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Excellent. Good
so
luck.
I'm repping Ann Arbor.
Good with you. How about Walter? Walter, are you here in the chat with us?
Hello.
Hi, Walter.
Hi.
Hey, Walter.
Hello. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I won through Quail Ridge Books in North Carolina, and also Hello Books in Maine. I think they combined 2 bookstores. And Cloud Atlas was the first David Mitchell book I read. it was right as I was about to go to grad school to be a writer, and it was what changed the entire idea of being a writer for me. So I read the other, at the time, 3 books within the next 2 weeks or so, and it was all over after that.
Well, thank you very much, Valdis. Great to see you here.
Excellent. Good luck to you. What about Victoria? Victoria, are you here?
Hi,
Hi, Victoria.
my name is Victoria, and I was actually playing with the dual rounds. I'm representing Hello Hello Books, and I am coming to you live from the Delmarva Peninsula in Maryland. And I read Cloud Atlas when I was 12, so maybe a little bit young, but it's been my favorite book ever since. I graduated in May, and I wrote my senior thesis about it, and it's means so much to me.
Well, I'm really happy you could spend so long writing a thesis on my novel, and kind of despite that, you still want to be here. So so thank you, and that's great. Lovely to see you.
All right, how about Jesse? Jesse, are you here in the chat?
Yep.
Hi.
I am Jessie.
Hey.
I am coming from Connecticut, and I originally did the trivia at the amazing RJ Julia Books in Madison, Connecticut. And the first David Mitchell book I read was The Bone Clocks. I listened to it on a long road trip, and I drove an hour out of my way so I could finish it and find it.
Really lovely to meet you, Jessie.
Thank you.
How about Kathleen? Kathleen, are you here in the chat?
I'm here, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Kathleen.
Hi. Forgive my weird, unfortunate webcam angle. Hopefully no one can see up my nose because it's not that big. I'm in San Diego, California.
Excellent.
The person who convinced me eventually to read Cloud Atlas is actually now the owner of the bookstore that I won the trivia through, which is Seth Marco at the Book Catapult. So, and I actually have met David as well on the Bone Clocks tour. We had dinner actually with Seth. So.
I've got great memories of that evening, Kathleen, and please give my best to Seth when you see him next.
Yeah,
he might be watching this, who knows? If you are, hi Seth, but I really like your town, and I've got lovely memories of that occasion.
Me too.
Good luck, Kathleen. All right, Jason, are you here in the chat?
Yes, I am. I am in Madison, Wisconsin. I did the first round of the contest through Union Ave Books in Tennessee, where I used to live. But I do want to give a shout out to Mystery to Me, which is our favorite local independent bookstore here in Madison. And the book that I love more than any other is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. And it has always been my favorite book. And I run a training program for child psychologists, and everyone who graduates from our program gets a copy of that book as their parting gift.
Wow. Oh, I'm really honored, Jason. That's lovely.
Excellent. Well, good luck, Jason. And last, but of course not least, we have Moira. Moira, hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Moira. Nice to meet you.
You too. I am coming to you from the Hudson Valley, about 2 hours north of New York City. You know, I started with the OG. I read Ghostwritten. Not long after it came out, I think I was working on a ship as a singer, and I had a tiny little cabin below the waterline, and I barely worked. So I had all the time in the world to read, and it was just sitting on a shelf in the ship's library. And I think I lost about 2.5 days of not leaving my little cabin except to work and to read. So.
Oh, well, I think you certainly win the story for you win the prize for the most original sort of entree story. So thank you. I'm a singer on a ship. That's really novelistic. I might have to go away and write a short story about that.
Well, yeah, feel free.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Moira. All right, well, thank you. It's so nice to meet everyone. Those are our 9 competitors. Let us run through the rules of the game really quickly. We've got a little chat here that we can see in our little setup here, but if you're streaming this, You won't be able to see the chat, but I will sort of try to do my best to narrate what's going on. Our 9 finalists are going to type their answers into the chat. It's the first person to put a complete answer into the chat wins the points for the round. If there's, like let's say a question has a 3-point answer and you put 2 down, you're not going to get it. So wait until you have all of the answer there before you hit enter, so you can make sure you get the full points around. We want you to get all the points. So that is one thing to go over. We also have a typo rule, just to remind you all. It is 1 typo per answer. We understand that some of these names can be tough to spell. Some of them might be Japanese or Dutch. I'm not going to say if they are, but if you have some typos, that's fine. 1 typo per answer. If it's a 3-part answer, you get 3 typos in that answer. So that's the typo rule. David and I also, I think David would like to introduce the lowercase rule. You can type in a lowercase. No need to hit the shift key, waste time with the shift key, right?
This conversation brought out the Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if you know that show, the one who loves the rules and regulations. So this really aimed me up. Yeah, it doesn't matter about lowercase and uppercase accuracy. So if it's easier to type the whole thing in lowercase, that's okay.
Kathleen asked if for multi-part answers you need them all in one chat, or is pressing enter in between okay? It's okay. I'm just saying, like, one of your other competitors could come in with the full answer between. So if I were you, you can do it however you want, but if I were you, I would wait and put the entire answer in one chat. Also, if it's a character name, you're going to need the first and last name, according to the lovely Carrie from Random House. She just let me know. So full name, and I would just put the full answer in your questions, just so that we don't have any questions around who was first. We're going to play until the board is done. So it's no, like, we're not going to like a point. We're going till all the answers are done, even the really hard ones at the bottom. We're going to get through them. And then there's one answer in here, I won't say which, but I will say when I read it out, where you have to put the book title along with, sort of the answer. So it's going to ask you a question, you're going to have to answer it, and along with your answer is going to come the book title that's required. That should be pretty clear when I read it out. I just wanted to prep you for that you're going to have that ready to go. You are allowed to use notes, books. Like, if you've got your stack of like your David Mitchell books like right next to you, that's great. We encourage that. You're allowed to use the internet. You're just not allowed to phone a friend, as it were. You're not allowed to ask someone in the room with you the answer. So those are all the rules that I think I have for you here. We're going to check in on the score a couple of times to see how things are going. And in case folks don't know at home, David, do you want to tell folks what the prize of this evening is for our lucky contestants?
Oh, some more Amy terms and conditions. I'd love to. So the prize is, if it's okay, I get to use your name in my next book. The term and condition is I can offer no guarantee about how many times your name will occur, whether you'll be a hero or a villain or somewhere in between, whether it'll occur, whether your name will occur once or on numerous occasions, because I don't totally know what my next book will be either. However, I do guarantee that your name will appear at least once, maybe more than once, but at least once in the next book. And for if that's any kind of literary immortality, then that will be all yours.
I will be curious to see what a reader cameo is like in a David Mitchell book. I know George R. R. Martin likes to kill off the people.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
So spectacular death is
the sliver of ice in Mr. Martin's heart may well be a little bit icier and a bit more kind of spear-like or sword-like than the sliver of ice in my heart. But it's true that all writers do have one.
Excellent.
But I'll try to make sure that your head won't end up on a kind of like a spike or anything too gruesome.
to Martini. All right, so let us pull up the board that we're going to be playing off of. I get the joy of picking the very first question, and I think it's only fair probably that we just start with the easiest upper left, the way that I'm looking at, down to business for 100. Let us start there. I'll read out the question. What is the name of the studio in Soho where Utopia Avenue recorded their first 2 albums? So Olivia in like a flash. With Fungus Hut is the answer. But everyone, we got a bunch of answers right away, but Olivia just right in under the wire there. So there we
no
go.
flies on Olivia. Wow.
Fungus Hut is so evocative. It made me feel like I could smell the carpet of this recording studio. David, what is the inspiration for the name Fungus Hut?
It's a hyperlink. It's actually there in my very first novel. Marco in London, the protagonist in that section, is a drummer, and he gets one slightly scary, intimidating phone call from Digger, the engineer, who presumably at this stage is the owner of the recording studio, for monies that are owed. So it's a very long-term, not yet widely noticed hyperlink.
Excellent. And you all should know that I am a David Mitchell fan. I know the difference between anchorite and horologist, but there are details that I might miss. So we're so glad that David's here to fact check me, and also Carrie from Random House, who knows maybe more than both of us combined, is also here to fact check. So we will have the right answer, I promise you. So Olivia, sorry, go ahead.
That is great to know, but I should also say at this stage I'm not sure that I'm the David Mitchell expert in the house compared to our 9 contestants. Really,
yeah, probably you all know, but we've got expert Carrie on the line, so we're pretty set. So Olivia, since you had 100 points there for that answer, do you want to pick the next category and denomination? Yes.
Sure. By the way, I saw good cat content walking by you in the background there.
There is a cat around. Sure.
Let's keep going, I guess. Let's do down to business for 200.
Excellent. Down to business 200. Where is Timothy Cavendish incarcerated in Cloud Atlas?
Oh, Olivia, I think.
Olivia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just Aurora House is the answer. And that is from Olivia again. I should really quickly maybe, Sierra, do you mind bringing back the board really quickly? I figured maybe I should go through categories quickly, which I didn't do before, which is, we've got down to business, which is, as you may have surmised, given Fungus Hut and Aurora House, establishments in the Mitchellverse. You look familiar too, which you players will remember from your previous rounds, which are just characters who we've seen before. Crypto characters, this is my favorite. I don't think you guys had a category like this last time. Crypto characters is really fun because if you've ever done like a UK crossword puzzle, this is like a puzzle within a puzzle where you'll get, basically the answer will be broken down into mini clues. I figured I should get this out of the way so you guys aren't confused when you get the first one. So let's say it's a person's name and you break that name down into syllables, components. The clue that you get will have each of those sort of syllable components. You'll have to put it together. It's like a little, you'll get it when you see it. Maybe if someone here wants to pick that category, let's start with 100 so that we can all sort of understand what we're doing when we get there. But it's a really fun category. Culture trip, that's just sort of like cultural references within David the Mitchellverse. And then dangerously delicious is our version of potent potable. So this is food and drink in the Mitchellverse. So just thought I should run through those really quickly. Olivia, since as David said, there are 0 flies on you, you get to pick the next category and point value.
I've never heard of such a thing as the crypto characters. That terrifies me. Let's try that for 100.
Excellent. And embrace an exclamation of surprise, a juvenile sheep, and an all-around cad.
Whoa.
All right.
I think we got, well, we thought that was going to be really tough. Olivia's making a mockery of our predictions. We were so pleased with our quasi impossible answers. I mean, some really fast answers from Kathleen and Walter and Moira. And
oh yeah, this is the thing. Is, Olivia got that again. It's Hugo Lamb. So an embrace, a hug, an exclamation of surprise. Oh, a juvenile sheep, lamb, and an all-around cat is sort of the descriptor of character, right? So our favorite cat, Hugo Lamb, from Bone Clocks, among other things. Olivia might be first, but everyone is coming in like so quickly. Everyone is sort of right in a cluster there. So pretty exciting. Is that, so the cryptic characters make sense to everyone now? You guys got what we're doing here? Excellent. So let's try another one, Olivia.
I'm scared. Let's do down to business for 300.
All right, another place of business. What is the name of the school in upstate New York where Crispin Hershey meets his untimely but long predicted demise?
Hey, Walter.
Walter,
I think you were able to break the unbroken run of Olivia there. Blythewood College. This is actually from well, in real life, it's kind of just between the 9 of us and everyone else who might be watching one day, which is hardly narrowing down the field. But I visited Bard College, so in my head, that's the place I location scouted for Blythewood. But I got the name from the Blythedale Romance, I think. Is it Blythewood Romance or Blythedale Romance?
Blythedale Romance.
By Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Yeah.
And I have only just noticed that it is Blythedale and not Blythewood. So there we go. I think at some stage I intended it to be Blythedale, but I think we can confirm that in the book itself it is Blythewood.
I wanted to ask you a quick question, give our questers a quick break. There's part of this question here, it says long predicted, right? And something that I really like that you do in all of your work is tell us what's going to happen before it happens. And so it's not so much a twist that's coming, it's sort of a dread that's hanging over a lot of our characters. We definitely get that in Utopia Avenue. Is dread something you're going for, or how do you think about that kind of format of storytelling?
In some ways, the more I hyperlink between the timelines of the characters, the more often it occurs that we do actually know the date of the character's death long before the character is aware of it. And it's not necessarily dread, although that is certainly it is like one of those dreams or one of those films where you can see something's about to happen and you're powerless to stop it. That's an interesting sensation. That's an interesting taste. However, really, it's the open goal of dramatic irony. We know more than they do. We know more about their lives than they do. We're sort of like we're like an audience watching a play, or we're like the fates or the gods watching our lives. They know what's around the corner and the characters don't. And somehow that's still really watchable. It does make the how more important than the what. The
right.
What is known, but the how is not known. And such as it is, that is my thinking behind why I do this, Joanna.
Excellent. Well, let us get to the how of the next question. Walter, your pick. What do you think?
How about you look familiar too for 100?
All right, here we go. The hyperlinks. You look familiar too. We first meet Eva van Otrive de Krommelink. That was the name I was afraid of pronouncing. In 1931 in Belgium in Cloud Atlas. In what location, what year do we meet her next?
Olivia is
back
in there even before you had the chance to finish the question, before you were able to finish reading the question now. So that was a valiant interjection from Walter, but Olivia's winning streak is continuing.
So Black Swan Green in 1982 is the answer. And so this is a character. What's fun about being in the David Mitchell verse is that it's not chronology, though I imagine someone must have like a huge infographic going of all the characters and the when and the where of it all, you know.
They may do, but it sure ain't me.
You don't have a big board with like red string connecting.
That looks like a murder investigation unit. No, I don't. I just
Or even Amy Santiago binders of information.
Amy Santiago, that's a name, yeah. Although after marrying Jake, I suppose if she takes his name, then what's Jake's name? Anyone?
Peralta.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably she becomes Amy Peralta. I don't know.
I want to give honor
no, I don't.
to Bryant for putting Peralta in the chat. So thank you.
It would be nice. Thank you, Brian. I watched that show with my daughter. I really enjoy it. I just sort of have a sense when a new character is needed, whether someone who already exists in the Mitchellverse may apply successfully for the job. I give them an interview, and if they're going to bring something something strange or something unexpected to that part, then I like to give them the job. But no, I don't really have some master architecture, although occasionally I'll know in advance before I write the book. So as with Utopia Avenue, for years I've been planning to have a descendant of Jacob in this book, and some kind of we can't give any spoilers away actually, so I won't say what I was about to say. There we go. On with the show.
In our chat, I will say very quickly that someone shouted out there is a great little chart that Vulture had of some overlapping characters. It's not complete, but it is fun to see. And then apparently Victoria has a map. Victoria, how extensive is your map of the Mitchellverse?
It looked exactly like, I was solving a crime. Like my roommate came home one day and she was like, "Are you okay?" And it had a yard and everything and maps. Sadly, in March, when I had to vacate my apartment because of COVID, I left it there. But as far as I know, it's still there. So maybe I can go back to it someday.
And Kathleen has just told us that there was such a map published, possibly on by Vulture, which gets the pun of the evening so far. Called Crowd Atlas, CROWD, Crowd Atlas, which is, I appreciate that.
Excellent. So Crowd Atlas over on Vulture. And that's a challenge for everyone playing to come up with a pun to beat that at some point in the evening. All right, Olivia, should we roll on to the next question?
Sure. First of all, my Zoom connection dropped out for a minute during instructions. Is it kosher to type before you finish reading the question?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can just, me reading out the question is more for people watching than it is.
Okay.
Probably.
Just didn't want to be a cad.
No.
Oh no. No one would accuse you of that. Having lightning fast reflexes and cybernetic skills of data input, they might accuse you of that, but no one's going to accuse you of cadness.
It must be all the working from home. Let's do You Look Familiar Too for 200.
Excellent. All right, in 1967, this former schoolmate of Jasper Dessert is living in London throwing fabulous dinner parties. Years later, he's running a clandestine scientific think tank in Switzerland. What's his name? Walter is in
Walter.
Heinz Maggio.
I salute you.
An unforgettable name, Hein Formaggio.
Well, I've got a micro anecdote about that name. I came up with it in when I was living in Hiroshima in the late 90s, writing ghostwritten, and I missed a couple of things that you can't buy there. One was baked beans, and in the UK at least, maybe the same in the States, but easily the leading market purveyor of baked beans in a tin is Heinz. It's a company called Heinz, and for my student days, when I had even less money than I had cooking skills, I would just do a slice of toast, a can of baked beans, some cheese, and I'd put that under the grill so the cheese would melt and make a highly healthy and nutritious plate of kind of slop. It was really nice. And of course, formaggio is Italian for cheese. So Heinz Formaggio was an homage to my hunger and my my sort of homesickness for melted cheese on baked beans on toast. Heinz Formaggio.
Well, I hope everyone watching at home tries some Heinz Formaggio.
I really wouldn't.
If you ever decide to put cheese on baked beans, then I just require that you call it a Heinz Formaggio.
Okay.
We have a score update from the lovely Penny. She let us know that it's a tie between Olivia and Walter, but there's still tons of questions and it's still anyone's game. So let's roll on to the next thing. Walter, your pick.
Why don't we do crypto characters for 200?
Crypto characters 200. All right, this biblical brother was swallowed by a whale and visibly aged despite his best efforts not to. Full name, unfortunately, Victoria. So Moira's in there, the first one with the full name of Jonah Grayer. So, and there is a one letter off misspelling of that name, but as the typo rule allows, that is fine. So Moira's
Amy says yes.
Yeah. Amy Santiago says yes to that answer, Jonah Grayer. And your unlocking of the crypto clue here. Moira, do you want to pick the next question?
I do. That typo rule is such grace. Okay. Let's go for, I am curious about Dangerously Delicious. Let's try Dangerously Delicious for 200.
All right, Dangerously Delicious 200. What chemical, if ingested, shrivels the cord that connects the soul to the body?
Wow, Moira again.
Moira,
Good work.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So Banjax is, am I pronouncing that correctly? Banjax?
You are. And once again, the one typo rule, as approved by Amy, is in favor of Moira. So.
All right, Moira, you want to go again?
Sure. Yeah, let's just all prepare ourselves for that being a theme. Okay. Culture trip, we haven't done. Culture trip for 300.
All right.
Living dangerously.
There we go. Whose byline is the manuscript Half-Lives: the First Luisa Rey Mystery written under?
Whoa. We have Olivia.
Uh-huh.
How fast was that?
Hillary
V. Hush.
Afterwards, I'm gonna interrogate you all in terms of your prep. How like I want people to show us your notes, your bookmarks, everything. But yeah, Olivia's in with Hillary.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah. Excellent.
You even got the initial V.
Excellent.
That's one of those kind of things I need to go back and address, because if it's true that Luisa Rey is a fictional character in the manuscript by said author Hush, then of course it means that everything in Cloud Atlas after that manuscript is also fiction. And it's one of those things I feel a sort of nagging need to retrofix So expect that in the next book or two. I've got a couple of ways I might reconcile that, but it's an early instance of tripping over a canonical problem that I imagine I will encounter more of as the Mitchellverse expands, as my empire increases its borders.
Victoria says she's been dying to get that answer for at least a year. And I guess, I mean, the fact that, I mean, so we said before, you know, when people were asking if they could watch this having not read Utopia Avenue, we said there wouldn't be any major spoilers, but do you think it's okay to say that Luisa shows up in Utopia Avenue?
I think we can certainly say that. Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
So is that a question then? If Luisa is in Utopia Avenue, is that a question of the reality of what we're doing?
Well, exactly. It's once you mess with ontology messes with you. Once you mess with the question, what's real here, then that question will start messing with you back. And I did that in Cloud Atlas, never twigging that this would have implications down the road. And it's just interesting to see this little seed of chaos that just wafts like a dandelion seed into the order of the Mitchellverse, and how quickly, or into any verse, and how quickly it takes roots and spreads and opens up a crack. The trick is to fix them with a solution that doesn't make it more complex. It doesn't let more seeds of chaos in. I think I know how to do it, however, so watch this space.
Oh, excellent. Do you ever, and if so, how often, regret the tangled web that you've woven between these books?
Oh, regret. I've never been asked that. It's a great question, and actually never.
Okay, good.
But it is an example of a system that evolves into being, rather like, I suppose, Microsoft Windows. It builds on earlier versions of itself, and just that fact inevitably makes for entanglement, as it does with Windows. But hopefully the whole operating system won't start crashing as regularly.
You don't have a big board or binders yourself. Do you have someone who's like a keeper of the lore? And should it be someone playing this game right now?
I'm starting to think that, yeah, I really am.
You can call and be like, can I use this character, or are they dead at this point?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that would be really. I did actually use the wiki stub to get all the names of Marinus, because I lose track of who he or she is at various stages, but really usefully, someone's made a wiki stub about that. So I do refer to that from time to time.
Excellent. All right. So Olivia, it is your turn again to pick our next question.
I'm very impressed by Moira going straight for big numbers, but I'm too scared to. Let's do Culture Trip for 100.
All right, Culture Trip 100. This is Crispin Hershey's magnum opus. The book of all of his work is forever compared to.
Oh, we got Jason.
Jason's on the board with Desiccated Embryos.
The Amy rule is, again, will suffice to turn embryos into embryos.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even miss. I was like, no, that's how you spell desiccated. Yeah, I missed the R. But yeah. Jason on the board with Desiccated Embryos.
Well done, Jason.
Thank you. I finally got one. Took a long time.
Don't worry, you guys. There's plenty of questions. We're all gonna get a crack. Jason, what do you want to pick next?
Let's do Culture Trip for 200.
Culture Trip for 200. What are the first 3 singles released by Utopia Avenue? People are going to their books. Love it. Jason, close but not right. Bryant in there with some guesses that are close but not right. Bryant has the full thing, I think.
Bryant, yeah.
Yeah.
Bryant's there first,
So it's
yes.
Dark Room, Abandoned Hope, and Mona Lisa Sings the Blues. So Bryant is the first one to get them all right.
Nice try, Jason.
Yeah.
They do discuss releasing a Raft in the River, but instead
That's
the
clearly
first.
what I meant.
Yeah. Okay.
Always for attention, unfortunately.
We've got your number, sir. So has Amy. So has Gina.
Yeah. All right. So Brian, let's go ahead and pick the next one. What do you want to do?
Okay, I just wanted to get one, so I'm done. No.
Nice.
Let's do You Look Familiar Too for 500.
Okay. Good luck. You'll need it.
You Look Familiar Too. As any proper fictional band hopes to be, Utopia Avenue is featured in the seminal. Okay, listen closely. New York Publications Spyglass magazine. 3 Mitchellverse characters in at least 3 different books have written for Spyglass. Name all 3. So you're going to name 3 characters, first and last name, and they're all in different books. Moira has an answer. It's not the answer I have in front of me. We're going to need some arbitration on this because
we can go for. I think Jason's got it actually.
okay.
Jerry Nussbaum is a colleague of Luisa at Spyglass, so we can include that. Ed Bruback writes Dispatch and Freya Timms, and these are 3 different books.
Right.
So Jason gets it.
Moira,
nice try, Moira.
Yeah.
I don't think Felix Finch.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, he is a journalist in the universe, but he doesn't, to the best of my knowledge, write for Spyglass. Richard Cheeseman, again, he's a book reviewer. I think he's in a British publication, the Piccadilly Review of Books, which is also where Felix Finch wrote his stinging, excoriating review. I know what that feels like, of Tom Hanks's book, or the gangster. What's his name?
Tom Hanks. That's fine.
Something Hoggins, isn't it? Hoggins' book in Cloud Atlas. So nice try, Moira. But I think, the first correct answer there is Jason.
All right. So Jason has Jerry Nussbaum, Ed Bruback, and Freya Timms. Really impressed with Jason getting that answer right and not saying Louisa, who's like the first one that most of us might think of. So, there's no such thing as double points, but I would give you double points for that if I could. So Jason, do you want to pick the next question?
Sure. Let's do Dangerously Delicious for 100.
All right. When they first meet, Esther Little gives Holly Sykes a sip of her drink to quench her thirst. What is her drinking?
Moira gets it, yeah.
All right. Green tea it is.
I think I'll be saying this again at some point, but I am so impressed. You know so much about stuff I made up in my back bedroom. Thank you.
You guys are really crushing it. You're really crushing it. All right, Moira, you want to pick the next one?
Sure. Oh, we're really in the weeds at this point. Let's go back to crypto characters for 300.
Okay. Crypto characters 300. This flying mammal entered a race in Madrid and was just beat out for first place, yet he still rules the air.
Oh, someone's got a mind that works on these, Jason.
Batsegundo.
Well done.
Fun fact about Batsegundo that I found out when sort of trying to prep for this quiz is that there was then a podcast named Batsegundo after the character that you created. And the person who created that podcast said that they invented it just so that they had an excuse to interview you, David Mitchell, on their podcast called Batsegundo.
It worked. And the gentleman came and started the interview in the lobby of a hotel in New York overlooking Central Park. And I think it's the same hotel that was in Home Alone, because when my daughter got into that film and was watching us thinking, hang on, I know that hotel. And shortly after the interview started, he was recording it on a mic like this. The security guard ushered us away from the lobby on the grounds that the reception wasn't an appropriate place to be conducting any kind of an interview. So we held it out back where the employees of the hotel went to have a quiet smoke because it was a nice day at a nice time of year. So that's where that's where I was interviewed by Bat Segundo.
I've never done a back alley podcast. I really, now that's all to do. Penny, can we get a score check when you get a chance to see how we're doing? We'll do another question while Penny lets us know the score. So Jason, your choice. What are you gonna pick?
Let's stick with crypto characters for 400.
Crypto characters 400. All right, take a piece of paper showing what you owe, add it to what there's none of without fire, then beware the assassin. Jason. The crypto brain, Bill Smoke. Hugo Weaving himself, Bill Smoke.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you actually about crypto clues. I forget which book, because I've just been sort of madly rereading all of them that I could, but one of your characters sort of knocks crypto crosswords as something that they don't like to do as a waste of time. Are you a crypto crossword person? Are you a fan of the crypto crossword?
I was probably knocking it via my character out of base envy because I'm not very good at them. I've got an old friend who is superb at them, and he explains you need to acquire a language, and it's to do with the way that compilers of cryptic crosswords will insert clues to the answer. They're actually prepositional in a phrase, and where they are is a part of the clue. And I'm sounding like a vague, drunken fool at the moment because it's even to explain it is harder than it is to compile them. So essentially, take your Men in Black pen and just wave it at the screen here and just erase the last 45 seconds of garble. But essentially, I can't do them. I'm envious of people who can. It's been explained to me how they work, but I still can't get my head around them. So that is my relationship with cryptic clues.
This is clearly how Jason's brain works, and perhaps out of base envy, if Jason were to win this game, you might bump him off in a grisly way.
I
don't know.
I would happily take that. That would be a life accomplishment.
Penny has a score update for us. So Jason, with that answer, just hit 1,300. Olivia has 800, Walter 500, Moira 500, Bryant 200, and some other folks are still waiting to get on the board, and I have confidence in you all. Things are about to get really tough and tricky, and this is when your quick research skills might come into handy. So Jason, what do you want?
The great thing about this game is all you need to do is get a couple of the 500s and you're in the running again. This is why it's such a great format, isn't it?
Exactly right. So nobody give up hope. Jason, where are you going to take us?
I will just stick with the crypto characters because it's treating me all right.
All right, crypto characters 500. A payment payable. What one does to an ice cream? The fifth letter of the alphabet, 2.54 centimeters. And watch out.
Oh, Bryant. Nice work, sir.
Bryant swings in with Felix Finch. Felix also appears in Utopia Avenue. Felix is my favorite version of an author sort of punching back at critics a little bit on the page. As someone who is sometimes a critic, it can be done in a way that is not fun, and you find a way to make it fun. So thank you.
I remember when the Wachowskis made Cloud Atlas, they hadn't prepared me for that scene, so they added a nice spin to it by having Tom Hanks throw the critic over the balcony at the party, and he kind of just falls through the air, and you expect him to, you expect him to hit the car, but he misses the car, and then a tabloid headline does that thing. It's a time-honored tradition in film. It kind of spins into focus, and it just says artists 1, critics 0. And I think for anyone who has been at the receiving end of a hatchet job, as we all have, it's the price of admittance of entry. Then I wrote that for all of us.
All right, I'll take it. All right, so that is Bryant who got on the board with that one. So Bryant, where are you going to take us next?
Let's do You Look Familiar Too for 300.
You Look Familiar Too for 300. Dean Moss and Vincent Costello both grew up on this road. What was it?
Oh, Walter, how do you know that? How do you all know that? Whoa. We got Peacock Avenue. Unfortunately, Amy might well have to talk about Peacock.
I don't think we have the right answer quite yet, I guess is what I would say.
What about Jennifer's answer?
Yeah.
I mean, Kathleen answers. Kathleen's answer. Apologies to
road?
Jennifer there for raising your hope.
Is it road?
Is it Peacock
I
Road?
have street on my answer. Carrie, do you want to weigh in?
Nice try, Bryant.
It's street. So the first person who put is Olivia. Do we want to take that as the correct answer? Does that seem fair?
So is the answer street? Because
yeah,
grand. In that case,
it's Olivia, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah. Amy agrees.
All right, so the Santiago say it is Olivia's points. Sorry to the roads and avenues. I know it's only gonna get trickier, guys. So Olivia, what are we gonna do next?
Let's do Dangerously Delicious for 300.
All right. Dangerously Delicious for 300. The promise of what beverage draws Dean Moss into Eddie Turk's General and Liquor on one Bay Area morning? Forgive me for a second. Okay, so wow, yes, Kathleen on the board. Yes, yay. Milk.
Hey.
Milk.
Milk, yeah.
I have
Well done, Kathleen.
never wanted to go into a general liquor store in the Tenderloin of San Francisco for milk, but I'm not Dean Moss, so there you go.
He's an innocent abroad. He's a Brit. There's such interesting sounding neighborhoods in American cities, at least to British ears. I don't know if it's the same for American ears, but who would call an area of a city the Tenderloin? It sort of weirdly, it suggests all sorts of images, if you know what I mean, and so it was kind of irresistible to set what happens there, but no spoilers.
I used to work down there, and so Dean is walking down from the Haight down into the Tenderloin, and as he's going, Eddie and Turk, it's just an area that is very like, it is an area of caution. So I was reading that with secondhand, like as we mentioned, just some agitation because I'm like, that's a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, actually, I wanted to take that a chance. We're almost done here. We're drawing to a close, but I wanted to ask you about this concept of scenius, which is mentioned in Utopia Avenue, mostly about Soho, but also, like the San Francisco Bay Area, obviously at that time had its own scenius going. Are there any, and for those of you who haven't read Utopia Avenue, or this is a Brian Eno concept,
yes.
Is that right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
It's this idea of an area, the bars, the people, the architecture, the everything.
The business models, the accountants, the publishing companies. Right. Yeah. Just
right?
The general idea that it's not enough to have artists of genius. You also need the support systems to enable them to earn a living. And only when those are there will a scene erupt and go down in cultural history as a time and a place that was particularly significant in the development of an art form. And it's certainly true that by the end of the 60s, the ground center for the counterculture, for what was happening, for the zeitgeist of the decade had shifted from London to San Francisco, which is why the band follow it.
Are there any, you mentioned a couple other in the books, I think like the Medicis in Italy and stuff like that, but like is there another Scenius setting that you might be interested about writing about in the future?
Berlin in the 30s is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the 20s. That's certainly another example of one. I mean, many Germans have written about it from with an insider's eye, far more knowledgeably than I think I could. But yeah, maybe it's an interesting way to write about art in general, I think, because it keeps art tied to the milieu that it emerges from, rather than tries to view art as this immortal flame that just inexplicably flares up at different points in history. I think it's much more realistic, and it was. I asked Brian Eno if I could have his idea in the book, and whether he was okay being referred to in the book, and it was really cool that he said yes. And the American proofreader, who's who just has an ingenious mind and finds all sorts of flaws and mistakes that I didn't know were there, actually went to the trouble of finding out how old Brian Eno was at that stage, and suggested putting his name in as Brian Eno, because previously it was just our friend Eno, or something like this. But that's one of those anachronisms that I allowed to be in the final manuscript, because according to Brian Eno, he was 17, I think, at the time, and although he hadn't had the notion of Scenius at that stage, everyone, pretty much everyone in the world, simply referred to him as Eno, however informal or formal the context. So I let him dictate the terms of his appearance. Over.
All right, so I will be eagerly awaiting your Berlin novel. In the meantime, Kathleen on the board, your choice next. Kathleen, what do you want to do?
Let's do finish out You Look Familiar Too for 400.
All right, You Look Familiar Too, 400. Chronologically, the earliest we meet a member of this family is in Nagasaki in 1799, and the latest is in West Cork in 2043. What is this family's name? I believe Walter.
It's Walter.
Walter, yeah.
I made the same mistake when I first saw that question, Victoria and Bryant. But then you have to look at the date of West Cork. So it does not refer to, no spoilers, to Jasper's appearance in 2020. It refers to Momenteveri's appearance at the end of the Bone Clocks, at I think a ripe old age. So I feel for you, Victoria and Bryant, but Walter gets there first with Monteveri.
Does anyone have Dessert rhymes with the lute written in their notes in front of them to make sure they don't mispronounce it? I do. I was like, thanks, David Mitchell, for putting a pronunciation guide in Utopia Avenue so I never mispronounce that name again.
I got asked by interviewers so often when I was on book tour for the 1,000 Autumns of Jacob Dessert, how do you pronounce it, and why did you put an unpronounceable name in your title? So I wanted to make sure there was a guide. It still hasn't helped everybody, but it lets you spot the reviewers or the interviewers who've really read the book as opposed to kind of skim read it.
All right. So if you're watching at home, write it down. Dezoot rhymes with loot. All right. So it is Walter's pick. Here we go.
Why don't we do Down to Business 400?
Down to Business 400. What is the name of the supermarket chain that employs Jason Taylor's father?
Oh, Olivia, how did you get that so quickly?
Olivia,
that was
type of rule once again in your favor. Greenland is the answer here.
The Santiago typo rule is working for Olivia again.
Yeah.
So it might not have worked for Jennifer, who managed to get in Greenland. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe not, but yeah. All right. So Olivia, and while Olivia is picking Penny, can we get a score update when you get a chance? Olivia, what do you think?
Let's finish out Down to Business.
All right, Down to Business 500. The garden of which Japanese hotel leads to a hidden clearing and a secret cemetery? Oh my gosh, a stumper. I love it. It's our first.
Whoa, our first stumper.
Stumper?
You can refer to your books. There's no dishonor to referring to your books. I certainly know I would have to.
I'll give a score update while you guys look. Olivia's back on lead 1,500. Jason's got 1,300 right on her heels. So, and we still got a lot of juicy 500 questions left. So people are still in it. Chelsea Hotel is not correct. That's
nice try,
right.
Brian.
That's not right. No penalty for guesses. So you can guess again if you want. I could also.
Yay! Walter's got it. The Harubayashi.
The Harubayashi Inn. From the Thousand Autumns of Jakob de Zoet rhymes with loot, right? Did I do it?
Right. You did it perfectly. And for anyone interested in the kanji, Haru is spring and Bayashi is Hayashi, but changed to the B for euphony, which kind of means grove or like a copse or a small wood. So it's like a spring copse inn.
So an update on our leaderboard. So we've got Olivia's got 1,500. Walter now has 1,400. Jason's got 1,300. And then there's still, like I said, we've still got a lot of points on the board here. So
1,800 points on the board.
Yeah. You know, it's we'll see what happens. I'm excited. All right, so Walter, do you want to pick the next question?
I guess Dangerously Delicious for 400.
Dangerously Delicious for 400. Name the ingredients on a kamikaze pizza. This one's so hard.
I couldn't even remember what the kamikaze pizza was, but yeah, it's a number 9 dream question.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm going to give a clue on this one, which is just that there's.
Whoa! Jason's got it.
Jason's got it. I didn't even need to give a clue. I was just going to say there are 6 ingredients, but Jason got there, the whole thing, and I think. I mean, we'll take treble chilies, right? Instead of triple chilies.
Yeah.
Same thing. All right. So mozzarella crust, a scallop, triple or treble chilies, quail egg, octopus ink.
Now Amy wishes to point out that that Jason has a missing
I think Jason had a missing ingredient, but then added it in before anyone pointed that out.
Oh, the banana.
I accidentally hit return before writing banana.
But yeah, he did get the banana in before anyone else got the full thing. All right. So Mike.
Amy is satisfied.
Okay, good. She can close her binders. Jason got all the points on that. All right, so that's a disgusting pizza. I'm not even gonna pretend to be epicurious about it. How do you feel about it?
I was living in Hiroshima in a big apartment block, and sometimes I would feel lonely. And on some nights, the only post I got in the pigeonhole in the little lobby area which I passed through to get to the elevator to go up to my apartment were flyers from pizza companies. So on the night in question, when I was thinking about writing this, I took the flyer. All of the ingredients were on there, but of course they weren't in the same pizza, because that would have been probably not the most commercially viable idea for a pizza that has ever been conceived. But I took one from here, one from there, one from there, one from there, and came up with the named in somewhat dubious taste. I think I probably wouldn't do that these days. The kamikaze pizza, and that is the story of its genesis into the world of food. And cuisine history was made on that night. I think we may have lost Joanna.
I think we may have lost Joanna.
It's the very thought of the pizza, I think, did for her.
Well, we can give her a moment to come back, because I will do a much poorer job.
I can.
I'm gonna take this moment to ask you a question that I wanted to ask you earlier, which is about the singles for Utopia's first three songs that we named. When did you decide what the names of those songs were going to be?
As I was writing the chapters, sometimes a cool phrase would just jump out at me from the text, from something someone said, and it lodged in the brain. And I don't quite know why some things do lodge in the brain, but a part of, I guess, the job of all writers is to have a kind of a subroutine and a programming that makes us think that's a good title for something. I don't know what yet, but it's a good title for something. And so whenever I had that micro light bulb, that LED light just flicker on, I would make a note of it. And it's neat because I think that's how it works for songwriters and for everyone who makes things out of words. Hello, Joanna. And so the answer is, at some point in the writing of the chapter, I would get the name of the song that chapter would be about. Maybe on a few occasions they came ahead of time, or they came from earlier drafts of the manuscript that I'd in part jettisoned for one reason or another. But that's the general idea. It's the same. It's the same instinct that I have when I write anything, when I think about words for anything. Sometimes it's a phrase like abandon hope that you look at from a particular angle. I do remember the hook. I think it's the first song on the second album that Utopia Avenue record. That was on the morning after I'd written that, and I was thinking, well, this is a weird chapter. It's all over the place. It's about lots of different. It's sort of set in about 3 different timelines. What's this chapter actually about? And then because quite late on, I added the scene where Dean has the backflash of fishing with his dad, who until that point has been quite a malign presence in his mind and in the book. It's a nice scene. It humanizes his dad, and they're going fishing together, and it's a real father and son moment. And they're using a hook. Then there's hooks of other types that are happening in the book, and then there's musical hook, kind of the thing in a song that keeps you addicted to it. So that was a nice way to combine the three elements of that chapter. Long answer, short question, but it did the job.
Things have multiple meanings.
All right, so since
I will take the floor back to you, Joanna.
Thank you, Carrie, for covering. I really appreciate you. So since I got booted off the Zoom, I lost the chat. Can you guys remind who scored points in the last one? Whose turn is it to pick?
That was me, and we can just stick with dangerously delicious to finish that out.
All right, Jason, dangerously delicious for 500. Here we go. A number of fictional food and drink establishments populate the Mitchellverse. Name 4 along with the book they appear in. So this is the one where you need to have the book title with the establishment. So 4 establishments, 4 book titles along with it. Yeah, exciting. Watching people consult their books for this.
Not really a stumper, but it is time consuming. Yeah.
Time consuming one. Yeah, I love this one. All right. I'm fact checking your answer, Jason. Let's see.
Jason, you have one error, not the Captain Barrow, I'm afraid. Olivia's
I fixed it on there.
Yeah.
But did Olivia have her full answer in before Jason's correct? Is Olivia's answer correct? Thank you. If you're watching at home, thank you for bearing with as we try to comb through this. Is Olivia's answer correct? If it is, she gets the points. Etna Cafe.
Hold on I'm checking.
Oh, all right. We are checking. I think there is an error in Olivia's, so I think that, from my view, so I think that means Jason gets the points. But
we'll just keep this in arbitration for a moment.
Yeah.
Olivia, could you remind me of where the Santorini Cafe is in Bone Clocks? It's slipped my mind.
I think it's in the Marinus section. It's where the veggie moussaka is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I looked that one up, but I got distracted before I found it.
It is. There's only 3 mentions of it in the entire book. So
the dish sounded really good. It made an impression on me.
I spent the morning looking for a really good recipe and discovered the history of moussaka as well. I remember that research trip. We may have a misspell. I think there's an E in Marlowe, but it's your one misspell. I think that's okay.
Do we care that it's the Etna Cafe instead of the Etna Coffee Shop? That would be my. I don't want to be the bad guy in anything. If we're gonna be Santiago about it, I wonder. What do you think? I'll let you decide, Dave Mitchell, who gets this.
So we're deciding. Just to discuss our contestants as if they can't hear every single word we're saying, and as if there's no major thing on the line here. Why? Am I right in thinking, Joanna, that you are inclined to give the points to Jason or to Olivia?
Fine. I'm just asking, do you feel, if you feel like Olivia has given a full answer, then the points are for Olivia. And if we feel like there is an error in Olivia's answer, then the points are for Jason. That's where we are.
Fine. Well, my heart goes out to Jason because he was in there first, but the Captain Barrow is more than one typo. Jason did correct it instantly. However, before he could correct it instantly, Olivia got in there with a one typo yet full answer. So the Santiago rules, I think.
Well, Olivia and Jason are offering to split the points. They both are up for splitting.
Oh, how civilized is that? Well, could we
our scorekeeper Penny is down with that as well? How do you feel about that, David?
I'm profoundly impressed with their sportspersonship. And I would suggest that if this act of generosity has come from the contestants themselves, then far be it from us to stand in the way of this thing that the world needs a little bit more of right now.
This beautiful moment. So
it is pretty beautiful.
Gary even says so. All right, so 250 each. 250 for Jason, 250 for Olivia. So
Olivia, you can pick the question.
And Jason's letting Olivia pick the next question. Love to see it. You guys are
a hard choice. Oh. It's a hard choice, but I guess I'll say 400.
All right, Culture Trip 400. This real-life 2011 Oscar-nominated short film is based on a movie that Eiji Miyake sees in Number 9 Dream. That looks to me like Jason has the answer.
Jason, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Great. So The Mormon Problem is the answer. It's the Martin Freeman, Tom Hollander joint, if you guys ever want to watch it. So we are down. Penny, can we get one last score check before we go to our last question? I know we were at, that would require me to do math. Yeah. Jason, 2350, Olivia, 1750. So, and my poor math skills say Jason's going to win this no matter what, but
I think things are looking pretty good for Jason at this stage.
Generosity and point sharing has won him some karmic points. So let us go for the last question.
I choose Culture Trip for 500.
Oh, good choice.
Oh, clever choice. Yeah. I wasn't sure which one you'd go for, but yeah.
All right, Jason. All right, here we go. Last question. Utopia Avenue spent a good deal of time working on the soundtrack for various iterations of Anthony Hershey's Narrow Road movie, which never sees the light of day. But in the Mitchellverse, Hershey does win an Oscar for which film? You guys have some good guesses, but not the right answer in there yet. Ganymede 5 is not right. Gethsemane, which I can never get right, even though it's a Bible thing, is not right. Desiccated Embryo is a fun guess, not right. I will confess I had a hard time finding the reference to this one. No one has the right answer yet. Or even, I'll give you this hint, or even close to the right answer yet. It's not a spelling thing. It's a wrong answer thing right now. Jesse!
Hey, Jesse!
Board, Box Hill! Yay! So there we go. We did it. David Mitchell Trivia. What a squeaker. I'm really impressed with all of you. David, how
so am I.
But you did an amazing job.
I know I would have got null punt for that. As I say in the Eurovision Song Contest, I would have scored a perfect round 0. Wow, really?
Yeah. I'm really impressed with you all. It's not easy to do this under any circumstances, certainly not in front of David Mitchell himself. So give yourself a round of applause for that. No, like really, do it. Okay. That is it. So Jason is our winner. So we look forward to Jason dying horribly. And David Mitchell's Berlin novel.
The more gruesome, the better.
All right, Jason. I'm making a note of your name now, sir.
Do we all want to unmute and applaud ourselves to end this?
I think we should. I think we so should.
Round of applause. I'm really impressed. Fantastic. Really fun to see you all and to be shown up by all of you. And thank you for playing. Thank you, David, for being up at is it 2:30 in the morning now where you are?
I'm not actually looking at the clock right now.
Okay.
It's just la-di-da-di-da-di-da. I don't know what the time is.
All right. Thank you all. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to, I think, having a quick word with you all now. Oh, hello, young person. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Oh, I can't kill you off now, can I? No way.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's super fun.
Oh, I've really enjoyed it. I'm kind of humbled that you've given so much brain wattage of your lives to, or at least the last few days or the last a couple of weeks to studying, to cramming for the benefit of this. Just thank you. I'm really, really honoured. It's a word that's often used, but I feel it very I feel strongly honoured. That's how I feel. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Look, my pleasure. And bye. And it's oh, they're really cute, Jason.
They're almost ready to read your books. Almost.
Hey, I was 12.
So yeah, what I feel also is that I want to keep trying to improve for my own sense of artistic fulfillment as well. But just having interacted with you a little bit this evening, it strengthens my resolve to just keep writing books that are worthy of your attention and your scrupulous reading minds, if that makes sense. You rock.
Yeah, well, thank you all for coming, Victoria. I want to see your map